Hi guys. So this is the first heroic I did on this character. I just kind of want to talk about like what I did for gear, gearing and things like that. So I didn't really buy anything out of the auction house that wasn't like a blue. I'm using like the heavy klepto set, but I also grinded out like PvP stuff because of the high stam and the resilience, which kind of works like defense as well for tanks. Like 15k with priest buff and bear form, like 19k armor, but only about 1600 attack power, which is concern, especially in this group, because this group, I got invited to a group from a warlock that was a warlock, a mage, and a shadow priest, all very hard threat classes, but everybody was really nice, and like they, for the most part, the mage sheeped along the way, but I mean, I think he was like on something because he was kind of all over the place. The warlock didn't use his seed of corruption. Like, it was a really solid group. I was really happy about that. I asked the healer at the end of how healing was, but he didn't reply, so I have no idea. Based on what I can see, there's only one death for me, and that is a bleed that doesn't get healed off in the very beginning. So I also want to talk a little bit about what happened with that last video. I cannot believe that many people were like, there were so many people that were saying weird shit like, it's a you problem, I don't know, yada yada, like you just can't hold aggro. It's like, it's not that, it's part of that, but it's not the whole story, because yes, it's up to the tank to generate as much threat as he can, but it's everybody's job to manage threat. Like for me to get to be as tanky as I can for these heroics, because these heroics are really tough. I don't get to be like super hit capped. I don't get to be expertise capped. So sometimes I'll just walk up and mangle and it'll miss. And then I'm like, oh shit. And like, if, the DPS aren't paying attention, and they just start, oh, well, he hit his button, so here we go. And it's not always that simple. 3 targets is generally fine, except when the mage is using Blizzard. I don't know. Maybe he's just used to paladins, maybe, I don't know. But it's not anything unmanageable, and I've learned to tank with like mages who use improved Blizzard, and they kind of just do it to everything. You kind of end up not really tanking, but you end up more like playing goalie with ads going to the healer. Like, you just basically keep the things off the healer for the most part. It's up to the mages to kite it and to CC it and all that good stuff. So here's the healer, just lets me die from bleed. Man, some of the trash in here pre-nerf is brutal. Like, there's these things like Coalfang champions, and they literally stun you when you pull. Like, they don't even wait. It's just like, oops, stun. Like these champions over here that I'm gonna pull after this group. And it feels really bad, because you're just like, cool, I got like a mangle and then nothing because I'm stunned. It's not like a 2-second stun, or there's like a good like 5-second long stun. It really sucks. Like, it's like, sometimes when you pull them, they'll stun you right away. Some of them, sometimes they'll wait. They also use like Sunder Armor and they all that stuff. But if I can like get a mangle on the pull, then I'm usually pretty fine. But anyway, on the subject of the last video, I had people in the last comments in the last video, like, they were saying wild shit, like, it's your fault, and it's like, no, yeah, yes and no, right? There's always room to improve and shit, for sure. But it's not just that. The DPS's fault too. It's literally like a DPS mechanic in TBC. I don't know about now. I'm not 100% sure on that. I don't raid until Sunday, but it's funny to me because, like, back during TBC with my raiders, like, they the warlocks were mad because they would literally have to be just sit there and wait and wait and wait and wait until threat would come back, because even with the most geared tanks, like a warlock is going to beat them because they were doing crazy damage, at least in tier 5. It's not always like that. I think in the Black Temple Sunwell it's less so. I fucked up here. I was trying to skip them, but I got too close. I was trying to boom back because I didn't want the path to social. But yeah, I don't know. Like, it's threat is a big deal. I mean, and it's everybody's job to manage it. That's why DPS don't really understand this in random groups. But Salve is the most overpowered buff in this whole expansion. Salve lets you do more damage. You don't have to stop. If you have Salvation, you're probably going to be good for most of the fight. Not every fight. You know, when the fights go long, warlocks will eventually, they'll pull threat. That was from me getting stunned, by the way. That stun lasts so long. And then later on, I fight another pair of this, and they literally stunned me twice in a row. I'm just sitting there. But yeah, like, I was happy with the views and stuff, and everybody talking. And you know, there were a lot of other tanks that were like, "Yeah, I don't like to do pug groups because, you know, DPS don't wait and da da da." And they're right. DPS won't wait, and I think it's just a thing of like, WoW changed over the years where, you know, like, it stopped being that way. You know, like during Wrath of the Lich King, they buffed tank threat by like 800%, and it kind of stayed that way. You know, it kind of threat just kind of got to I wouldn't say it's a non-issue. It's still an issue in retail, but it's like, it's way less of a problem. Like in retail, if I moonfire a bunch of stuff and then hit thrash, I got threat for a while. Now I will lose threat if I try to kite, because Blizzard didn't want us kiting like everybody was doing in Shadowlands. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, I don't know. I was pretty happy with how the run turned out. I mean, there was no wipes. They were a lot of people like to do a skip in here, and I'm not knocking them for that. The guild I'm in likes to skip too, but I know I will fuck up that skip. I already know. So when I go in a group, I don't want people to be upset. I don't want people to not have an optimal run. So I warned them ahead of time, like, hey guys, I'm not going to do that skip because I'm going to fuck it up. I'll do some skips. I'm not going to pull every single pack in the whole dungeon, but like, I am going to fuck up that skip, and you might as well just not go. At first I thought like, oh, you know, it's going to be a rage problem. It's in here. It's not a rage problem. I mean, there is one later, but the bosses aren't hitting me hard enough to where I'm generating enough rage. So that's a problem. But the problem is I get stunned so much in here. Like I do the pulp, boom, stun, or you do pulp, boom, you get feared. And if you don't have a shaman, it is a bad time. I mean, shamans are extremely good in Burning Crusade, just because Tremor Totem is so useful. Like the entire motherfucking time, Tremor Totem is great. And I think when the next phase, which will probably be in another month or two, I don't know how long Blizzard's gonna wait, but they're gonna put the nerfed heroics, because when Burning Crusade was out, when 2.1 launched with Black Temple, they nerfed all the heroics across the board. And I don't really think like I don't think that they're too hard. I just think that people don't want to spend a lot of time in them because they've already done them. And the fact that they are very, very punishing is a concern, you know? And I do have some better threat gear, but I wanted to make sure that I was tanky enough to handle the bosses in here. And I'll probably swap it out next time around. So it depends, probably tomorrow. But yeah, I don't know. This was a scuffed pull for me. It was rough. But this is the first heroic I've tanked outside of like guild runs and stuff. and I don't know, it felt fine. I didn't feel like I was like, grasping my fucking nuts, like trying to live. But if you are a tank and you're not a paladin, and even if you are a paladin, really, I mean, I just kind of set in the beginning of when I got invited, I set the tone. I said, look, we're going to be using CC. We're going to be da-da-da-da-da. Because it's not just about the damage intake. It's about, am I capable of holding threat on like 5 targets? And now if I had, 30 seconds of threat, yeah, absolutely I could, but that's not the reality. And I mean, why would it be? So, yeah, what else? This was the one boss I was concerned about. This guy really trucks the tanks. He does a lot of damage, but I don't think the healer really struggled on his mana. That's a good way for me to gauge how much of healing I'm getting. And he's just kind of spamming his slow heal. But yeah, it seems fine. Everything seems fine. I don't, like the warlock is going to match me on threat because we don't have salve. If we had salve, they wouldn't even got close on that meter. But yeah, I think when TBC was out last time during Classic TBC, I played a prop paladin. I've been trying to use Hibernate a lot more in my keys too. So I always forget it's there a lot of times because their mage like blizzarding the thing. I don't know if he blizzarded it or it just broke. I'm not really sure. I didn't. I had already popped challenging war, so I'm just kind of trying to get threat back. Here, the little stingray things they fear. So this thing here, just kind of go around. One piece of information I thought was weird was everybody online is saying there's this massive tank shortage for 5-mans. They're like, oh, there's no tanks to run 5-mans, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of them tonight. I don't know if it's me or just the night, or there was no healers like at all. Like, I think if TBC has any problem right now in 5-mans, it's the healer problem, not a tank problem. The tanks are definitely there. They're just charging people to do it. I'm personally not one of those people, but I don't care how geared I was. If I decided like, hey, I want to do a heroic, I'm not gonna demand payment to do it. If I want to do a heroic, because I want to fucking do a heroic. That's it, But I mean, they can do whatever they want. Consumables are expensive, and if they're doing some crazy speed run raids that people like to do in Burning Crusade, then you do you. If somebody's willing to pay it, knock yourself out. Sometimes I think the tanks would be like, all right, I'll tank this mana tombs or whatever for you, but I want any ore in just shows up in the dungeon, I want it, whatever. And again, that's totally fine. I don't really have an opinion this or that about it. It is what it is. If excuse me. But one thing I will say, there is a serious lack of feral druid YouTube videos. At least for pre-nerf. Like there are videos of people bear tanking, but it's like with post-nerf heroics, which post-nerf heroics aren't hard. They're very easy. Hell, I doubt you even need to be defense cap to tank them. But some of these heroics are so hard. Like, Blood Furnace is like insanely difficult. This pole gets scuffed. The mage decides he doesn't feel like sheeping or something. But yeah, I don't know. So I just I found it. I thought the run was pretty good, and that means that I can reliably farm badges when I'm not raiding. So that's good because I do need a lot of badge gear. So if that means I just run Slate Pens, Underbog, Steam Vaults, the easier ones, that's fine. That's what. Let me see. That's 3, 7. Wait, so yeah, 7. That's 10 badges a day. That's good. Right now, I'm trying to get the attack power trinket because in raid I'm going to be playing feral DPS, so I need the gear for that. So and then Sunday we do Karazhan, which I don't think anybody in my guild actually needs anything from Karazhan. I honestly don't even know why they're going, but they are, and that's fine for me. So they're doing like Kara, Mag, and Gruul. Tier, I'd be happy with like tier set stuff. Would be great. The tier set for bear is your melee attacks have a chance to grant you an additional 10 rage, which would be amazing, especially for a pickup threat. The 4 pieces you get, I think, 1,400 more armor in bear form, which again is great. That's awesome. If I can get to the point where I'm like 2,500 armor or 25,000 armor, like I will barely get tickled from these things in here. I don't see that happening before the next phase, and by the next phase it won't even matter because. But I think it's either that phase or ZA, which is the phase after. It's one of those two. I think it's the ZA one where we get updated badge gear. It'd be nice if they would put consumables on the badge vendor, honestly. So all the caster, this is a full caster group. They were all after the Quagmire's Eye, which is really, really, really strong trinket outside. I mean, it's better than anything until you get into like SSE TK. So for a lot of casters, it's their it's what they farm. So this guy, so I fuck up there. So when he does the acid spray, if you wait a second, like when he starts it, and you taunt him, he'll move the spray back to you, and it won't hit anybody. But it's a fairly easy boss. I take him like this so that when he hits me up, I don't get knocked back. That's it. I grabbed a neck piece for cat form, and that was it. I don't even think it's a very good one. I think it's just okay. But it's better than a tank neck, so there we are. So alright guys, that was the first Steam Slay Pens run. Tomorrow I'm gonna try to do Slay Pens, Steam Bolts, and Underbog, because I just finished unlocking all the heroics. It took me like a week of rep grinding on normal to get there. A lot of people that I've talked to say that to make your own groups, grab like Rogue, Enhanced Shaman, Warrior, stuff that isn't going to AoE the entire room. But I actually don't mind the spell cleave groups if the stuff dies fast enough. Like if you have a Warlock throwing Seed of Corruption and he's doing Blizzard, you're probably pretty fine in most of them when they're not casters. When they're casters, I can hear, it's rough, man. Those casters are gonna like two-shot the mages. So, but it is what it is. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. If you stayed and watched the whole thing, thank you. And I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.